Hello, and thank you for joining in on this week's energy forecast. So it's so funny because I've been doing this energy forecast for quite a while now, but I always did a voice recording, never video. And it's just incredible how different it is and how much harder it is. And this is, segueing into what this energy forecast is about. It's a reminder this week that when we reach a certain point of comfort in a situation, in our growth, we are always asked to take it a step further, to push just an inch beyond where we've gone before. So, the energy forecast was, it was definitely hard at the beginning when I just did the voice recording, and then it became easier and easier and easier, and then I was like, okay. And then I kind of got bored and realized that it was because it was time to step it up again. So, speaking of boredom, where are you currently bored in your life? I know this week in particular, I'm feeling that our closest relationships, intimate relationships, are the focus. But if you think about our closest relationships, those intimate relationships, they are the biggest arrow to ourselves, right? It's like the issue you have with your partner points to the biggest thing that probably needs tending to in yourself. So this week, thinking about intimacy and closeness and what your relationship to that is. What are you getting kind of bored with? And know that you're being pushed to step it up a notch, but you're afraid to for whatever reason, or you feel held back, or you feel paralyzed with fear, so you feel unwilling to face this. So I'm going to check in with the root chakra, so that's at the very base of your tailbone, the place of safety and security. Yeah, and the message I'm getting here is I know where I need to focus. I know what direction I need to take, but I'm making up all these different excuses as to why I'm not doing it, and why it's too hard, and why the fear is so overwhelming, and it's just too much for me to deal with. It's like people trying to get ready to have a baby. You don't ever feel ready for a child. Right, even when it comes, it's like you're never really ready, and then it starts growing and you continuously are just not ready. So it's I don't want to be mean about it, but it's like it's a lame excuse that I'm not ready, or I don't know if I can handle it. You wouldn't be this uncomfortable feeling this pressure to grow and to evolve if it wasn't because you were meant to grow and face this and look at it and feel into it. So what you're bored with is what needs some revamping, needs a little retouch. Maybe it's your haircut, right? It could be really simple things, but I'm seeing like close, intimate relationships being highlighted right now. And with those intimate relationships, that's, we spend the most time on those relationships. We have the most stories about what they mean, and we just pack so much energy into this. So one way of thinking about intimate relationships is when you come across an issue, to imagine your friend telling you that issue, giving him or her your advice on it, and then applying that to yourself. Because we tend to be able to offer others really good advice, but when it comes to ourselves, we often don't take it. So, in regards to intimacy, not being afraid, rather, you can be afraid, but confronting it anyway, having a conversation about it anyway. If you're bored with something, if you need a change, not being afraid to voice how you feel about it with the intention of coming up with some sort of solution. Yeah, the energy this week feels really raw and a little bit uncomfortable, and it's like, is that really a good time to address some sort of issue that I'm having? Again, is there ever a really good time? Are you ever really ready? So while the wound is open, while you're kind of in the midst of being uncomfortable and wanting to kind of heal some aspect of you, just keep going with it. We're moving away from being okay and settling and being not necessarily more comfortable, but more bold in our quest to evolve. So that means hard conversations and, saying it like you feel it in that moment and not letting it pile up to this big dramatic, like, wow, kind of moment. Okay, so I'm going to move up into the heart center. Yeah, and we're going through what feels like heartbreaks is actually heart openings. So it's like you feel like you want to close in, but really we're meant to open up. And that's an interesting thing about sensations and feelings, that what they tell us, we shouldn't take it at face value, right? When I feel anxious and feel like tidying and moving faster, probably shouldn't take that at face value. You should probably take a second, probably could take a second and notice what's going on instead of just reacting in our normal ways. That's another encouragement this week from the heart center, is to notice those tendencies. Notice where you just feel like running or closing down. Being with that feeling just for a moment and saying, okay, what's the exact opposite of this? What would be the really hard thing to do? Talk about it. Share. Yeah, that would be really hard. Okay, well, that's what I'm being encouraged to do. And the mind versus the heart, right? The mind, the ego, the identity wants to keep you in a familiar pattern, because familiar means safe, whereas the heart or the soul, the spirit, however you label that, is all about expansion and moving forward and freedom, liberation. So it's an interesting little duo we have going on here between the mind and the heart. One says stay the same, the other one says we must change. So in regards to intimacy and being a little bit bored, right? Even boredom. I hear my nieces and nephews say, I'm bored. And it's like, you're probably just uncomfortable with how you're feeling and you want to move away from it. So can you sink into that boredom a little bit? Be with it. and see what it has to show you. What are you bored with? Are you bored with him? Are you bored of the same conversation? Are you bored with the same habits that you keep cycling over? And bored is like, oh, I'm just fucking over it. And as you address this, what that does, it's creating space for something new to enter. We can't have things we're bored with and also be calling in new energy and expect some like massive miracle shift. No, it's this transmutation process. I'm bored with this. I need to feel through it. I need to process, release, open up for new. And it's funny, even how I'm talking this week, like, and how I'm feeling doing this, it's a very cerebral week. So if you're overthinking, overanalyzing this week, I feel that. And what to do when you think too much? Shock the system. Do something that disrupts that mental chatter. Call a friend. Like, again, okay, you're raw and you feel vulnerable. Call a friend that you just need to kind of continue to open that up with and be like, yo, keep it real. Help me feel this. Or you're like, oh, I'm so bored of feeling gross in my body. Okay, shock the system, get to something. Anything. Do something to disrupt the pattern of the mind that is in the habit of staying in the same cycle. Okay, I'm going to move up into the brain space. Yeah, any questions of I'm not where I should be right now? Says who? What timeline? What map are you looking at that says you shouldn't be where you are? I think I know we all do this, but it's like, what is this idea that we should be somewhere else other than we are? Like, if you think about it in terms of a video game, it's like, okay, maybe you want to be further along and you're kind of bored of the same scenario and you're like, okay, I feel like I've done all this. Where's the secrets? Where's the stuff? And it's like, it's usually hiding in plain sight. So if you're feeling bored and kind of like agitated, uncomfortable, well, if there's not something new entering your life, then there's definitely stuff to be tended to right now in your current circumstances. Like, notice your agitations. What do you feel just like about him, about her, about whoever, whatever? What do you feel that towards? And what's in there? Be willing to explore that. And if you're willing to explore, it's not like a reward, but you get information. If you're not willing to explore and you're just gonna kind of suck up what's going on and just bite your tongue and not be willing to explore and just keep up with the same pattern, you should expect, you can actually predict what's coming next, and that's more of the same. And I do trust that if you're listening to this, if you're tuning in, you are being called forth. You're being called to step up, to evolve, to shift in some form this week. It's okay to communicate something that could be hurtful to someone that you love. It's okay. Is it easy? No. Do you want to do it? No. But it's not your responsibility to take care of how people receive what you feel and what you have to say. Trust that they're in a relationship with you for some reason, and it could be a friendship, it could be a coworker. Relationships mean many different things, but people are in your life for some purpose that we can't see. And I see life as this gigantic game of connect the dots. And when you're going dot to dot, you're like, what the fuck? This makes no sense. And then sometimes you zoom out and you're like, is this a giraffe? Like, where are we headed here? And then it keeps you kind of inspired to keep going because you want to see the bigger picture. I don't know if we'll ever get to see the big picture, but know that you are a key component in this universe. And so the role you play does have significance. Even if you feel like you tend to be the one to rock the boat or cause a drama, that's the part you play. I know I tend to expose things. I like to figure out the deeper meaning and kind of and connect the dots. So I'm sure that can be quite tiring when someone's always kind of calling you out, like, oh, that's interesting, you did that because you said that, and then, like, do I want someone doing that to me all the time? No, but I play that role. So do not refrain from being yourself out of fear of how somebody, or how you think somebody will receive, how you act, how you feel. And you know, the underlying thing is you're not a burden. People could take you on as a burden, but you're not a burden. You have a unique perspective in ways you feel that are meant to move the needle along, you know, in our evolution. And if there is a nagging emotion, I'm going into the solar plexus, so the emotional center here, or if there's a nagging emotion and it keeps showing up and you keep getting frustrated that it's still sticking around, it's because you're supposed to feel into it. You're supposed to do something about it, talk about it, air it out, get it off your heart, off your mind, and ask for help. You don't have to continue in this way, causing yourself harm. We, as humans, have one another to help inspire and uplift and connect and help one another heal. And sometimes that means hurting one another or saying something to someone that's probably hard for them to hear. But I got this book, I think it's Being Ramdas, and one of the first lines in the book, it's from Meister Eckhart, who says, if the soul could know God without the world, God would have never created the world. So it's like we learn about, and you know, God, universe, that could have been, you could remove God and fill in anything, Mother Nature, the earth, whatever it is you connect to. But we learn about our existence through our relations with other people. So you play a significant part, and if you're bored, it's time to shake it up. Yes, there's turbulence when we shake anything up, but boredom is, you know, this kind of, this quiet, this pause, and it's like you're gearing up for something more. There's something more here. And I remember being a kid and being bored, and that was when I had my greatest ideas, my greatest inspirations, or, you know, creative things, games that I made up. So use the boredom as fuel to shake it up and do something different for yourself. In the physical body, I'm feeling a deep fatigue going on this week. So don't, you know, succumb to the fatigue and just give up on everything. The fatigue can be a really grounding force that helps you communicate a little slower, be more present in your body when you are communicating difficult things to others and yourself. So don't fight the tired. but trust that your body is guiding you, and continuing to find that balance between the mind and the body. The mind wanting to stay the same, the body and the soul ready to push you forward. So if you have any questions at all about how to do this, how to deal this week, you can reach me in the comments, in my email, on social media. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate you. I love you, and I look forward to talking to you next week.